All right, everyone. So today, we're diving deep into, well, a resource that's promising kind of the holy grail, right? Building a whole online business, totally from scratch. And get this, they say you can be making bank on day one.
Wow, day one profits. We hear that a lot.
Yeah, so that right there, that's what's got my spidey senses tingling. Is this thing legit or just another internet pipe dream? We're going to find out.
Let's do it.
Okay, so they keep hammering on this three pillars of an online biz thing. What do you think? Is that even a real thing, like specific to online business? Or is that just, business in general?
Oh, I will say using the word pillars is smart. I mean, it makes you think of something strong, something foundational, right? And in a way, they're not totally off base. Whether we're talking bricks and mortar or clicks and downloads, any business needs certain core elements to actually work.
So not some groundbreaking new formula, more like taking universal business truth and applying them to the online world.
Exactly. And they don't come right out and define these so-called pillars. We kind of have to deduce it from the material. Any guesses?
Well, you got to have something to sell, right? I mean, that seems like a good starting point. Could be a product, a service, even just your knowledge, but there's got to be something of value there.
You got it. Pillar number one, the product or service. And thinking back to that whole lemonade stand example from the material, what else makes that lemonade stand a success?
Customers.
Right.
Got to have those thirsty customers, right? But I'm guessing it's not enough to just, hope they show up.
You're catching on. That brings us to pillar number two, marketing. Got to connect with those customers, build a relationship, and ultimately persuade them that your thing, your lemonade, your whatever, is worth their hard-earned cash.
It's about making that connection, right? Bridging the gap between what you offer and the people who need it.
Exactly. And it doesn't matter if you're selling lemonade on a street corner or you've got a full-blown e-commerce empire. It's all about finding those customers.
Okay, so speaking of e-commerce empires, these folks are claiming you can be up and running, making money on day one. That feels, I don't know, a little ambitious.
It's bold, for sure. I mean, it plays on that instant gratification thing we all crave, right? And listen, it's not impossible to earn a little something quickly, but a real business, a business that lasts, that takes time, it takes work, and honestly, it takes a lot of learning.
So maybe don't quit your day job just because you made a few bucks on day one, is what you're saying.
It's tempting, but yeah, probably good advice. Look, realistic expectations are key with any online venture. This isn't about getting rich quick. It's about creating something that has value, nurturing it, and really, truly being in it for the long haul.
It's a marathon, not a sprint. Haven't we all heard that one before?
Right. So let's get into the weeds a bit, shall we? What about the actual course itself? Anything jump out at you?
Well, they call it their digital scratch kitchen. Like they're giving you all the ingredients and instructions you need, even if you're starting totally from scratch, which I kind of like. And it's broken down into 18 modules.
18.
18 modules covering, well, pretty much everything, it seems like.
Okay, so they're thorough. I can appreciate that.
Right. I mean, they start with the basics, like how to choose a business idea and make sure it's actually something people want to buy. But then they get into stuff like how to build a website, how to get people to actually visit that website, even really advanced stuff.
Like what? Give me the juicy stuff.
Like how to work with the media, how to partner with big brands, and even, are you ready for this? How to sell your online business.
Whoa, hold on. So they're teaching you to exit the business before you even start.
Yeah, no, it feels kind of like planning your retirement when you haven't even gotten your first job, right? So it kind of makes you wonder, who is this course really for? Yeah, like, is it ever too early to think about selling your business? I don't know, it's a bit much.
It's a lot to process, that's for sure. But hey, maybe there's something to be said for thinking big picture right from the get-go, even if it feels a little premature.
Okay, so plant those seeds early. I can dig it. But then on top of these 18 modules, they got a whole pile of bonus courses taught by all these different experts, which is cool. Building an email list, getting your stuff into retail stores, even selling on Amazon. It's a lot.
Okay, so they're going deep on the extras. But are these bonus courses actually valuable? Or is it just like, trying to make the whole package look bigger and shinier?
Right. Like, is it all steak and no sizzle? Or the other way around?
That's always the question, right? Hard to say for sure without going through each one with a fine-tooth comb. But let's look at what they've got here, the email list thing, for example. I mean, in this day and age, having that direct line to your audience, that's huge, right?
Tell me about it.
Yeah.
I wish I'd focused on my email list way sooner. It's been a game changer, honestly, just for connecting with my audience on a deeper level.
And that's what it's all about, not just having a list, but really using it. giving people valuable stuff, keeping them engaged.
Solid advice, even without buying the course? I like it. What
Right.
about this bonus on getting products into retail stores? That feels like a whole different ballgame compared to selling online.
Oh, it absolutely is. Brick and mortar retail, that's a whole different animal. So yeah, having someone walk you through that, the ins and outs of wholesalers and distributors and all that, that could be huge. Could make the difference between getting your product on the shelves and having it collect dust in your garage.
Talk about a reality check.
Yeah.
So it's like having a roadmap for that part of the journey.
Exactly. And then you've got the Amazon thing. Love it or hate it, Amazon is, oh, Amazon.
They're a giant, you can't ignore them.
And figuring out how to work that system, that can be a game changer too.
No doubt. But I mean, it's like setting up shop in the busiest marketplace in the world,
Yeah.
right? So you got to be ready to stand out. I'm guessing this bonus gets into all that, like how to actually compete on a platform that massive.
I would hope so. Otherwise, what's the point? You got to know how to optimize your listings, manage your inventory, all of that. Plus, Amazon's advertising platform, whole other beast.
Oh yeah, got to pay to play on Amazon, it seems like. So, okay, on the surface at least, these bonus courses seem kind of legit.
Hmm.
But I've got to say, building an online business can be, well, lonely. You're hunched over your laptop and your PJs. It's a lot of you, yourself, and you. What's your take on that? Especially for someone brand new to this whole thing.
Honestly, having that support, a community, it can make all the difference. Entrepreneurship is a roller coaster. You're going to have doubts. You're going to hit roadblocks. Having people to talk to, bounce ideas off of, celebrate with, that is so important.
It's like having a built-in cheering section, but also, like you said, people who get it, who understand the unique struggles of trying to make it online.
100%. It's that sense of belonging, that shared purpose that can really keep you going when things get tough.
Okay, so community, check. Now let's talk about the masterminds behind this digital scratch kitchen. Rachel and, what was his name again?
Dan.
Dan. That's it. So they seem to know their stuff. They've got the experience. But how important is that really? Like if you're evaluating a course, should you even care about the creator's credentials?
It's tempting to just go by that, right? Like, oh, they've got a fancy resume, so they must be amazing.
Right, but that's not always how it works.
Exactly. Because here's the thing, experience is one thing. Being able to actually teach, that's a whole other skill set.
So someone could be a wildly successful entrepreneur, but a terrible teacher.
It happens all the time. You want someone who can break it down, make it actionable, keep you engaged. That's where, honestly, testimonials and reviews come in handy.
Like checking the Yelp reviews before you try a new restaurant.
Exactly. Make sure other people actually had a good experience.
Okay, good to know. Speaking of taking the plunge, this course has one of those no refund policies. What's your take on that?
You always got to read the fine print, right? It's not a deal breaker necessarily, but it does make you stop and think. All the risk is on you, the buyer, so you really got to be sure.
So how can our listeners, protect themselves? Avoid getting caught up in a scam or just, like, a course that's not worth their time and money?
Information is power, my friend. Don't just take their word for it. Do your research, read those reviews, like we said, but dig deeper too. See what you can find about the creators, their reputation.
Due diligence, very important. So we've talked a lot about what they promise, making money on day one, all that. But realistically, building a business, even an online one, takes hustle. It takes time. How do you reconcile those two things?
It's tricky, right? Because who doesn't want that instant gratification? We all do. But a sustainable business, it's a long game.
So it's about more than just chasing those quick wins.
Way more. It's about laying a strong foundation, something you can build on over time, something that can actually weather the inevitable storms that come with entrepreneurship.
Okay, so how can our listeners decide if this digital scratch kitchen is the right recipe for their entrepreneurial dreams? It really comes down to, is this thing too good to be true? We've seen good stuff, comprehensive, experts, community, that's all great. But then those claims, day one profits, and that no refund thing, makes you think.
Definitely a mixed bag. You got to weigh it all out. What works for one person might not work for another.
Exactly. So for anyone listening who's thinking about taking the plunge, what are some questions they should be asking themselves? Like, how do they know if this particular course, or any online business course really, is right for them?
First and foremost, what are you hoping to achieve? Like, what's your big why for even wanting to start an online business?
Yeah. Are you trying to escape the 9 to 5,
Yeah.
build something on the side, pursue a passion? Big difference.
Huge. Once you've got that clear, then you got to get real honest with yourself about strengths and weaknesses. Are you a tech whiz, marketing guru? Do you like structure or do you prefer to just wing it?
So Know thyself. Makes sense.
Because there's no one-size-fits-all approach to this stuff.
Yeah.
And then, last but not least, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Money.
Always a factor, right?
Can you afford to take this risk? And I don't just mean the cost of the course. Starting a business takes resources, time, energy, all of that.
So even if the course delivers on everything it promises, if it puts you in a financially precarious position, that's a whole other can of worms.
No quick wins are worth jeopardizing your financial well-being. So, bottom line, for anyone listening, if this digital scratch kitchen speaks to you, if you're all about that structured learning, the expert guidance, the community aspect, and you understand this is a marathon, not a sprint, then hey, maybe check it out. Do your due diligence, of course, but it could be a good fit.
But if you're looking for a magic bullet, a get-rich-quick scheme, this ain't it. And honestly, those rarely exist.
Truth. Building a business, online or offline, it takes work. It takes resilience. It takes a willingness to learn and adapt and, yeah, sometimes fail.
And that's okay. Failure's part of the journey, right? You learn, you grow, you come back stronger. So to wrap things up, I think the biggest takeaway here, the thing I really want everyone to walk away with, is that knowledge is power. The more you know about yourself, about your goals, about the resources available, the better equipped you'll be to make those decisions.
100%. So whether you choose this course, another course, or you decide to DIY it, remember, you are capable of amazing things. Don't be afraid to go after what you want.
Beautifully said. And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive. We'll be back next time with another resource, another topic, another chance to learn and grow together. Until then, keep exploring, keep creating, and keep chasing those dreams.